Hello again and welcome back to Some Climate News. Lots of stuff to go over today, so just strap on in. And starting us off today, the reason I wasn't able to upload yesterday, because I was doing a ton of research and waiting for some responses from some people, we gotta talk about the Kilter app being taken down. So, 2 days ago, or depending on whenever it is that you're watching this, some other moment, a bunch of Kilter users started to notice that their app just wouldn't load any of their climbs. This was followed relatively quickly by this announcement from Kilter, stating, and I'm mostly summarizing here, that the previous app that was used to control the board was taken down by the third-party company that operated it, and that they, in this case Kilter, were not aware that this would be happening. Now, there are a few things that we should note. First, the third-party company in question is one Aurora Climbing LLC, which is completely owned and operated by one single person, a guy named Peter Michaud. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his last name. Now, Peter Michaud is the software developer behind both the app that Kilter used to use and the LED light system that came with every single board. And his relationship with Kilter is, well, pretty complex. Basically, Aurora and Kilter have been in business together since 2018, and their relationship was great until around 2023, when Aurora made a change to their terms and conditions. Basically, for the longest time, these two had never come to an on-paper agreement over who the owner of all the app's data was supposed to be. When Aurora changed their terms and conditions in 2023, they basically claimed ownership to all of said data. Kilter obviously did not like this for two reasons. One, they believed that the data belonged to them, and they claimed that as a result, Aurora was restricting Kilter's ability to develop a separate app that had the same or similar features as the original app. So, they sued. And they did so in Colorado, which is important for a few reasons that I will get to in a second. Now, before any judicial determination came out of said suing, both parties came to an interim purchase agreement. Basically, the Kilter would file a motion to dismiss their lawsuit. The Kilter would purchase 655 LED kits from Aurora between April and June 2024, and that Kilter would buy a further 775 LED kits from Aurora after that. In this agreement, there were also a few terms and conditions that stated that Aurora still owned the intellectual property in the LED kits, in the app, and all the user data. That any disputes of this would be handled in British Columbia, not Colorado, and that Kilter would be prohibited from reverse engineering the LED kits, the software that controls them, and the app. That they wouldn't be able to gain unauthorized access to the app, software, and data, and that they would basically build a copy they wouldn't basically build a copy or alternative app that would compete against the already existing app. So after this, Aurora provided Kilter with the LED kits that had been agreed to, but Kilter basically has stated that they began to receive complaints from customers about those kits. Kilter says that they reported those problems to Aurora, but Aurora then refused to honor their warranty agreement because Aurora had changed the length of said warranty agreement, which Aurora completely denies doing. From there, in July 2025, Aurora became aware of the fact that Kilter had begun distributing non-Aurora controller boxes. At some point, Aurora received one of those boxes, and when that box was opened, they found that it was extremely similar in both function and appearance to their own proprietary LED kits. When this happened, Aurora terminated their agreement with Kilter, and Kilter sued them again. Now, this is where things that were already messy get even messier. Aurora says they never knew that Kilter had been developing competing LED kits and software, which they had been doing since 2022. Kilter, on the other hand, says they did absolutely tell Aurora. Not only did they tell Aurora that they were developing their own kits and software, but that they had Aurora's consent to do so. Kilter says they were developing totally new hardware and software, that they had a finished prototype of that hardware and software by 2023, and that it wasn't until 2025 that the prototype was modified so it can function as a possible replacement for Aurora's controller box. Aurora says it's impossible to build an LED kit like the one Kilter built without reverse engineering his or their own work. Kilter says, on the other hand, that every standardized board in the climbing industry basically works in the same way, and that Aurora even copied Moon Climbing's original control box anyways, so that they really didn't even have to do any sort of like reverse engineering stuff. So, like I said, Kilter sued Aurora for all of this, alleging that Aurora did not negotiate or act in good faith and did not act reasonably in performing the agreement that they'd come to. They're also suing Aurora for defamation based on Aurora's communication with various customers of Kilter, saying that, or telling those customers that they'd been sold counterfeit LED lights, and because they allege that Aurora violated the Colorado Deceptive Trade Practice Act. In response, Aurora filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit on the grounds that this dispute belongs in British Columbia, and then sued Kilter in British Columbia for A, breach of contract, B, breaching the Trademark Act, which is basically asking for damages from Kilter for selling quote-unquote counterfeit LED lights, or C, unjust enrichment. Basically, all the money that Kilter made off of those alleged counterfeit LED lights should actually go to Aurora. That's where we are. They're going to have to go to trial in British Columbia. The Colorado suit is still waiting to be dismissed. It's a gigantic freaking mess, as you can probably tell. Now, as far as what happened 2 days ago, I'm not really sure. We have Kilter's statements saying that Aurora took down the app without their knowledge, basically stating that they were completely blindsided by this. On the other hand, while I reached out to Kilter for comments and have yet to hear back from them, Peter Michaud did send me an email in which he said, and I quote, "We kept our app up for as long as we could and at our expense while we tried to resolve issues with Kilter over recent years. Last week, Kilter demanded that Aurora cease using Kilter's name and logo in our app and elsewhere. As a result, we were unable to continue providing our app. Earlier this week, we notified Kilter multiple times that we were preparing to remove our app, but we did not receive a reply from them. We had to take down our app to avoid action from Kilter." So there you go. It's pretty much a repeating pattern here. One side says one thing, another side says the complete opposite. Really, the only way that we're ever going to know what actually went down or has been going down is by waiting for a judge to hear out their cases in British Columbia. Which brings me to Kilter's new app. So there's, tons of bugs and pretty obviously bad functionality. That said, I don't think it's really fair to complain about that just yet because, well, the app obviously wasn't meant to be launched right now. It's actually probably a freaking miracle that it works as well, or I guess as badly as it does. Like, as far as things could have gone, losing access to climbs for less than 24 hours, pretty freaking great. The app also has a few things that I think improve on the previous one. It's got Kilter's verified problems, which seemingly are going to take the role that Moon benchmarks and Tension classics do. Some problems that don't have enough repeats also have a range grade, which is kind of cool. So you might have, for example, certain boulders that are listed as being V5 to V7, and when you set your boulder problems, you now also don't have to keep hitting the same hold over and over to change its LED color. The little wheel opens up that lets you choose what it's supposed to be. There are obvious improvements to an app that was very much lacking in a lot of ways, especially with like the non-benchmarks thing. Having Kilter verified stuff is actually kind of cool. Finally, we get to have that. All that said though, this again, it honestly, it raises the question of who owns the data, because that's pretty much the most important part, at least for consumers, i.e., you and me. Now, something like 9 months ago, someone on Reddit posted about the potential issues that could be caused by a dispute like this. That post has since been deleted because the person used AI to write it, kind of rightfully got crucified for doing so. But the underlying issue at hand, which people kind of ignored because we couldn't stop focusing on how bad the AI's writing was the fact that all this data not being open sourced, i.e. that you basically had to ask Aurora for permission to gain access to the data itself, could potentially become a problem. And that's exactly what happened. Aurora took everything down and everyone lost access to their logbooks and their profiles. In my opinion, all of it should be open source. Anyone should be allowed to access it and do what they want with it. The data in this case. And this should extend to every single other board out there, in my opinion. There are thousands of people out there constantly setting problems for others. They're doing so for free. Their work shouldn't fall under someone else's ownership, right? Same with people's logbooks. People have put a lot of time and effort into saving what climbs they've done. Now they don't have access to that anymore. I think that's super shitty. And the way things are going right now, there's nothing protecting anyone from having this happen again. Kilter says they're working on getting people their profiles back, but I mean, there's no real guarantees that that will even be possible. So yeah, all of this really does raise super important questions about ownership. And with that, I'm gonna have to pass the question on to you guys. Be had in a discussion in the comments below. What do you think? Are you for data like this being open source, or do you believe that it actually should not be, that it should be owned by a company or by somebody specific, a single person? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Excited to hear what you have to say. And then in just absolutely massive news out of Czechia, as Jana Svecova has finally managed to send her mega project, Tokyo Drift, a boulder for which she has suggested the 8C V15 grade. And this is just absolutely massive news for climbing for two reasons. With this send, Jana Svecova becomes one of only 3 women in the world to have sent more than a single 8C boulder if her proposal holds up and the grade stays, right? In this case, right along with Janja Garnbret's 2 8C ascents and Katie Lamb's 3. Although Katie's whole thing is kind of weird because one of those is box therapy and she kind of took 8C plus V16 for that. So even though the consensus is apparently now 8C, I kind of, well, I don't know whatever. It honestly does not really freaking matter. Look, as far as I'm aware, only one other woman has ever proposed 8C as a first ascent, and that's Oriane Bertone, who proposed 8C for her ascent of Satan y Elvet Bas. I really hope I got that right. Unfortunately, though, that particular proposal didn't take, and the boulder's been given 8B plus by pretty much every subsequent repeat, in this case people like Simon Lorenzi and Alex Megos. So, as of this moment, seemingly Jana is the only woman ever with an 8C V15 first ascent. Point is, yeah, climbing Jane is an absolute badass, even if the boulder itself is personally, to me, not the most inspiring in the world. Like, you know, say what you want, but like, I mean, Czech drop-off boulder, very much a la Terra Nova and Nova. I mean, it's hard as shit, probably. Incredible effort, absolutely. Historic in all the right ways, definitively. 5-star Dreamline? No. I'm being negative for no reason. But, you know, it had to be said. If I'm not at least making fun of everyone just a little bit, what am I even doing with my life, right? Tokyo Drift looks really freaking rad in terms of the moves themselves. It's just a bummer it doesn't top out. But, you know, I mean, it's fine. Whatever floats your boat. It's hard as shit, and more importantly, it puts Jana in a very, 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 very exclusive club. Literally 3 women in the entire world. In the entirety of time so far. It's nuts. Especially given she was injured not too long ago. This is a pretty good comeback, not gonna lie. I know she's been trying this thing since at least April of last year, on and off, not really including that whole, like, 6 to 8 month period where she couldn't really climb because of her finger. So, I mean, this is huge. This is really freaking huge. She managed to seemingly surprise herself with descent, climbing with more cold than she's used to, climbing imprecisely, apparently having to adjust a ton and even enduring a bad foot slip. And yet, tried super freaking hard and somehow managed to get to the top. Which honestly, I mean, that just tells me she's got more in the tank than she might let on, right? Like, if you're really doing something at your limit, you shouldn't be able to climb badly and still send. Because if you can, then it's not your limit, right? To me, that means that A, her try hard is very much notable, and B, she is probably strong enough to climb something harder, which means that maybe, just maybe, she's at the point where she might be able to put Terra Nova together. I don't know if she's even trying it anymore. She was for a while. I mean, she set Nova, right? Which is like, I mean, half of Terra Nova. Anyways, only 9 women in the entire world have ever climbed 8C V15, and now Jana can say she's done 2 of them. So, of course, huge congratulations to her. She got emotional when she sent, which is always wonderful to see. Makes me happy to see people feeling happy. She said a video of the ascent will be dropping soon on her YouTubes, so I'll let you guys know when that happens. But otherwise, yeah, just big congrats. Hope she gets to celebrate well, and let's move on. Next, Pablo Hammack. Hammack? Hammack, I don't know. Dude just got the FA of a boulder problem on the Grandpa Peabody boulder, and I have 0 information about what the hell is even happening right now. Like, seriously, this dude has neglected to publicly give this boulder a name, grade, friggin' anything. I don't know. We have this picture. That's about it. Okay, but thankfully, I have people that I can ask when Pablo completely freaking ignores my messages. Thank you, Pablo. And I can say a couple things, sort of. Rumors circling around saying this thing is called Peanut Gallery, though the climbing history site lists it as Ear of Life. It's a completely independent line that starts to the right of lucid dreaming and climbs through a bunch of incredibly hard moves, finally linking into the evolution direct top out. Now, as far as how hard this thing is supposed to be, rumor has it that it might be harder than the process, which, I mean, the process is 8C plus V16, right? So, are we talking potential new V17? Maybe, maybe not. Just a really, really hard V16, 16/17. I don't know. That's probably going to be on Pablo to decide if he even says anything, which, given his track record, probably won't. But yeah, man, very, very little that I can say about this as of this moment. Honestly, I'm just psyched as hell that this thing went down. Whatever it's called, whether it's Peanut Gallery or whatever fucking light stuff, I don't care. I really don't. I can't wait to see what the moves look like. It's gonna be freaking mega. It's another line of Grandpa Peabody boulder, man. What the hell? I didn't even know that was a thing. Let's move on. And then Sachi Amma, who I don't think I've talked about on this show, and who's probably a bit of a throwback to some of those that were watching competitions pre-2014, which was when he retired. Sachi has just managed to send his 4th ever 9B 515B route, the incredible Chris Sharma's Sleeping Lion. The route is called Sleeping Lion. It's not called the incredible Chris Sharma's Sleeping Lion. Anyways, Sleeping Lion is now is known for having been Chris Sharma's last, or at least latest, hard first ascent. That is up until he, does, or if he manages to actually send his big ultra proj, Le Blonde, which is just, all we really know about that thing is that it's supposed to be harder than Perfecto Mundo, which is 9B plus or 515C. Back to Sleeping Lion. So Chris sent Sleeping Lion back in 2023, proposed 9B plus, and then the route was very quickly repeated by Alex Megos and Jorge Diaz-Rubio near the beginning of 2024, both of whom downgraded it to 9B. It was then repeated by Stefano Ghisolfi in 2025, and now Sachi Amma has managed to earn the honor of claiming the route's 5th ascent. Not only its 5th ascent, but his 4th ever 9B. Some 30 or so sessions, apparently, spanning a time period of 2 years and 4 trips to Margalef for Sachi to manage a red point, which is pretty incredible dedication. And honestly, man, it's awesome stuff to see that he's still out there doing incredibly hard things. A few years back, he retired from competition after a World Cup win when he said he couldn't find a way to be a better person if he was constantly comparing himself with others. I mean, that's basically what competition climbing is kind of all about. So, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, huge congrats to Sachi Amma on the send of Sleeping Lion 4th 9B. And on top of that, this dude is 37 years old. That's not half bad. Next, Enrique Beltran Blasco has managed to send the Full Journey, a 9B sport route in Margalef, Spain. Full Journey is, of course, in Alex Megos' first ascent in Margalef that has seen 4 total ascents, the usual suspects, Megos, Jorge Diaz-Rubio, Stefano Ghisolfi, and now Enrique Beltran Blasco claims this as his first ever of the grade. Not only his first ever of the grade, dude literally sent his first 2 9A plus 515As like 3 months ago. Like we're seeing a pretty big step up in strength or climbing ability or freaking I don't know. He leveled up there. That makes more sense. Dude works as a route setter, and then people wonder why some gyms are sandbagged. Like, you think a guy climbing 9B, 515B in just a couple days can tell the difference between a V0 and a V1? Sure. I'll say yes. Anyways, Full Journey is an extension to a climb called The Journey, which is a 9A plus, just kind of adds some extra spice to the top, really hard boulder problems, and super overhanging limestone, and yeah, that's all she wrote, really. Huge congrats to Enrique Beltran Blasco on the send. Can't wait to see what else he manages to do. Next, always a good day when comp climbers go outside. Oriane Bertone is no exception. Her little brother might have flashed Lazarus, but Oriane just sent that same boulder too, and only a couple of days apart. This boulder seemingly took Oriane 3 total sessions, 2 sessions in which she worked the moves and found beta that made sense for her, and then a final 3rd session where it only took 2 total goes to put the whole thing together. Now, as far as I can tell, this is actually Oriane's first 8B boulder, despite the fact that she's climbed 3 8B plus V14s, which is, I mean, it's kind of hilarious. Comp people's tick lists are just an absolute freaking hot mess of a list. It's also kind of hard for me to believe that she hasn't climbed other 8Bs. I'm kind of sure that she has, just hasn't really mentioned it. I mean, dude, she's strong as all hell, right? Let's be real. Currently, probably one of the only women out there who is capable of going toe-to-toe with Jana, right? Like, just absolutely insane. Anyways, congrats to Oriane on the send. Let's move on. And then it's your favorite freaking segment here, only because I've only done it like twice, the 8C Lightning Round, because apparently 8C V15 is a grade that everyone and their mother seems to be able to do, and it barely freaking matters anymore, but it's still hard enough that it needs to be talked about. Kind of like a weird limbo situation. Anyways, here we go. First up, Beckett Sin has just sent Pegasus in Joe's Valley. Dude tried it last year, but was using a kind of crappy sequence, cleaned things up, and managed to send real fast with new beta. Third of the grade for a dude that is absolutely on a roll. Next, got Pietro Viri showing us why he's one of the stronger overall climbers in the world. Dude sent Bugaleisen, my personal ultimate dream boulder that I will never, ever, ever be strong enough to send. Quick work, of course, Pietro being who he is, but now I'm just super confused because I just can't seem to find any photos or evidence that he did this thing beyond having seen it somewhere and having that fact corroborated by climbing history. Did I just, like, Mandela effect myself, or am I going insane? Both? Yeah, it's both. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. It's Saturday, and I'm fucking making videos for you people. God damn you all. Next, Marco Muller with a send of Captain Nemo. This thing's a dope-ass Pietro Viri FA. Ah, look at that. Through lines. It was also sent by Adam Andra back in February, and it is the direct line of the big project that Dave Graham has been working on non-stop, and that came out in that one long-ass video with him and Will Bosey. It's good stuff. Mega boulder. Next, Michael Nieuwenhuisen. Leave it to the Dutch to have the most complex last names freaking possible. Michael, whatever, just got the second ascent of Giuliano Cameroni's Baby Shark. This is his 7th 8C V15 boulder ever. It's a pretty freaking cool one. Wasn't really expecting it to get a repeat this soon, but I'm certainly not complaining because it's super freaking rad. Next, Mark Brand. Another Dutch dude has actually sent a boulder FA'd by the last Dutch dude I just talked about. Michael Nieuwenhuisen, I think. In this case, Le Piliard du Désert, one of the most legendary projects of all time in font. This thing has been given all kinds of grades from 8B+ by Nico Pellerson, who just either loves sandbagging the crap out of everything, or who just has trouble believing in himself, to 8C+ V16 by Manu Cornu, who has also just sent another 8C. God, I love, like, when this happens. Like, one boulder leads to the other. It's amazing. God, it's so cool. Through lines. It's all connected. There's a, makes me believe in fate. No, it doesn't. I don't actually. The Matrix is real. I've gone insane. Okay, Manu Cornu. I've not talked about him on this channel yet. I hadn't heard his name mentioned in ages. Dude is famous for being one of the best comp climbers of all time. Also famous for his, interesting hairstyles. And yeah, dude just sent Belial, another awesome boulder problem in Fontainebleau. And yep, that's all she wrote. Lightning round over. Awesome stuff. Last few things. And then I'm done with this stupid show. Finally, I get to go to sleep. And then finally, last but not least, still talking about font, Bryce Viola just added a new line to Karma. Karma, if you don't know, is probably one of the most recognizable and famous boulders, probably in all of Fontainebleau. It's super famous for having been featured on The Real Thing, which is an old bouldering movie starring Jerry Moffat and Ben Moon. And it goes at about 8A+ V12. And yeah, man, it's a freaking classic of our sport. Gotta talk about it, especially when we're talking about a potential FA here, which links a climb called Bizarre into Karma. Or Karma, I guess. More or less about 8B, according to Bryce, who is tentatively calling this thing Karma Bizarre. I guess since it's Bryce, Karma Bizarre. Given that he's not entirely sure if this hasn't been done yet. There's a chance it has, but either way, dude, like, I mean, this is pretty freaking rad to add your name to a classic like this. And even more rad that this dude had the vision to come up with something like that. Like, I stood underneath Karma for hours because a buddy of mine really wanted to do it. I wasn't strong enough. I tried to, no. And never even occurred to me to even look at Bizarre, to be honest. That's, I mean, that's awesome. That's real vision, man. Really, really cool. Congratulations to Bryce, man. That's a freaking awesome FA. proud stuff. But hey, that was some climbing news. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. Enjoyed this little weekend show, at least more than I enjoyed making it. We'll see you guys again probably on Tuesday or Monday, depending on how much stuff goes down in the climbing world, if there is or isn't enough time or enough stuff to make a longer show. But until then, enjoy what's left of the weekend. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment with opinions. Helps the show. I love seeing you guys do so. But yeah, man, as always, just, you know what it is. Go climb some stuff.